Welcome to Stories and Songs, a series of interviews with musicians from the world of jazz and improvisation. I'm Sophia Carbonara, and it's my great pleasure today to be talking to Kyrie Anderson.
Hello.
Hi, Kyrie. Okay, my first question for you is one, what have been the pivotal events in your musical journey?
Pivotal events. I was kind of trying to write some notes about what I thought were some crucial events in music. I mean, I started drumming when I was quite young, when I was like 8, and I just loved it from then. And I was playing through high school, and I think if there's like young pivotal events, it was probably, joining the school bands and finding like my first place of community, I think, in music that really felt really good. And I don't think I realized at the time was going to be like the huge drive for me to continue playing. So that's kind of started off when I was young, enjoyed the community, went to uni and formed a band called the Bearded Gypsy Band, and none of us had any beards. But it was part of a band with a group of friends, and we did the first gig I ever played with them. They were already an established band, but they needed their drummer left, and they needed someone to jump in like within that week to go and perform all these kind of folk festivals around Australia. Um, and I did a show where I played at the National Folk Festival, and it was our first set together, and we didn't really have any. Um, rehearsals, so I kind of just jumped in. And I remember playing, and we just had this beautiful crowd who were up and dancing. And there was like one point of the show where I thought they were telling me to take a drum solo, and I took a spontaneous drum solo, which was actually them telling me to end song. But within that, it was like I also remember just crying on the stage because I didn't realize how fun music could be, because I was just looking out into the sea of like people just like losing their minds dancing and just having the best time, and the energy of them and the energy of like the band on the stage, it was just electric. And I remember I just felt so high and just just outrageously good. And I think there was a huge point of me where I was like, oh my God, there's this whole world of like music out there, and this is what it does, and look at all this community again, which I thought it was a huge moment for me in my career.
I love that story. That's so beautiful. My second question for you. What
hmm
obstacles have you had to overcome during your musical life, and how have you dealt with them?
Mm. I think a lot of the obstacles that I personally faced were probably to do with a lot of imposter syndrome of feeling like I didn't belong. And I guess we talk about that a lot within the industry, and the importance of seeing role models of people like yourself, ourselves, out there, in ways that actually do inspire you and make you feel like you belong. Like, and subconsciously, I probably didn't realize how much of that I didn't see. So for a long time, and I still tackle it. The feeling of just thinking that I wasn't approaching music or the drums in the right way. Like I went to university and I got told by one teacher that I had to practice for like 6 hours a day. And I couldn't do that. Like I didn't relate to that. I could never feel that obsessed with it to do it that long. So I'd go through periods, but because I couldn't do that, it's kind of like they had said to me, to be successful, this is the way you do it. This is this step. And that kind of got really stuck in my head, that when I was having times where I guess you could define them as success, where I was having moments in my career where I was doing really beautiful events like playing festivals and playing with mentors and people, in my life in the jazz world, a part of me was like, well, hang on, you didn't do this, the rules that they told you to get here. So you actually don't belong here, and it's wrong, and you shouldn't be there. And I think for me, that has been my biggest obstacle in terms of why times I've maybe have played a lot less improvisational music, a lot less jazz. And I guess a way that I tackled that um, was finding, you know, going to Banff in 2019, where I actually met you, Sophia. But that was a place for me where I was tackling that feeling so strongly of I really, really don't belong here. And just head on and wanting to leave. But then all of a sudden finding people, finding mentors and other participants in which I could talk to about music, about imposter syndrome, about these feelings that everyone communally actually shared. And it wasn't an alone feeling. And that knowing that most of us do actually feel that way, but there were so many people who approached music in similar ways to me as well, or who also didn't come from the I want to practice 6 hours a day or the other things that connected them to art and to music, and that there's not just one rule to be an artist or to be successful. And also the question of what is success was raised at that place to me, and realizing, it's actually just all about art and expression. And I had felt that from the get-go, but I didn't know how to articulate that. And finding other people helping me articulate that that's what I care most about in music, and collaboration and community made me feel a lot more grounded and understood, I guess. That's been a huge obstacle for me.
Thank you. And beautiful to meet you then, but it's beautiful to hear how your life path and how the obstacles and how you work through them. And it's really inspiring, actually. A third question for you. Do you have a motto or a personal philosophy that guides you? Or what advice would you share with younger musicians?
Yeah, I think personal philosophy, I mean, I've been talking about this probably in all the three questions of the philosophy of community and connection. And for me, like music is like it's all conversational and all about listening and understanding from like one another. And it's also, a place where music should feel like a place where you can express yourself and be heard and understood. And I think all of us try to sometimes fit ourselves into certain squares or boxes, maybe of like genres or things that they go, yes, that's the way we should do it. And sometimes they might not be the right places for us, but that doesn't mean that if for advice for anyone younger, it doesn't mean that you don't belong being a musician, and that knowing that there are other, like, so many pockets of musicians and artists and creatives and filmmakers and writers and stuff that you can collaborate with that might understand your vision or express music in the way that you see it as well. And knowing that there are those communities out there is really important for me to know. And for I wish I had known that as a younger person, basically. And I guess my other philosophy is that I've always had a tough time with practice, which is kind of seen that there, what I was saying before. And when I'd gone to Banff, Tyshawn had said something to me where he was like, you're like this, we're the vessel for, like, art is all around us and inside us and around us, and we're just the vessel. And we're actually doing art and ourselves a disservice by not touching our instrument every day or just sitting behind it and not putting any rule on what you have to do behind the instrument, but just by, like, being there and being able to be open to it, so that this around us, art that's inside and around us, has a place to go and be. And that for me has been so amazing to remind myself anytime I don't feel like playing my instrument. I just think of that and I go, oh no, I have a duty to serve to art.
That is really beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, no.
My last question for you is for you to nominate a song, an album of your own creation for us to listen to, and let us know, what that song means to you, what's the story, etc.
I think I'll have to. I'm on quite a few as a drummer. It's been awesome because I'm playing on so many amazing different records over my career and lots of different styles, and it's just like a joy of mine to play other people's music and bring it to life. So for like music of my own creation, I only at the moment have like a couple of albums that are compositions of mine or like a co-collaborations. So my pivotal one, I guess, the moment that I would encourage people to listen to is the Aura album that is myself and Flora Carbo and Helen Svoboda and Audrey Pound. And that album, once again, I'm going to bring up Banff. And for anyone who doesn't, I've just realized I haven't really clarified what Banff is, but in Canada, up in the Banff Mountains, there's the Banff Centre of the Arts, and there was a program called the Creative and Improvisation Jazz Workshop, Jazz Creative and Improvisation Workshop. Something and went for 3 weeks, and you learn music under these beautiful mentors and meet other beautiful participants and play music together. And just it's all music and art and thinking about art, and it was amazing. And it's really upsetting that it's not happening anymore. It's actually a huge loss to anyone wanting to find their voice, I think, because I think it's played a crucial part of many artists, many who live in Australia and around the world, like finding themselves and finding their voice. So I felt very much like it opened my world up to everything. And I recorded this album with Helen and Flora and Audrey there. And I hadn't met Helen or Audrey. I knew Flora a little bit, but we became best friends like very quickly. And went into the recording studio there and just each brought a tune in. We had no time to rehearse any of it because all of us were running around playing with so many other people. But we just recorded this album. We had the best time doing it. And then we released it, and a lot of people seemed to like it, which was like, it didn't really matter. We were just like, well, to us, this was such a joyful, beautiful experience. But I think maybe that has, resonated in the music. Even though it's not always upbeat music, but it feels like there's so much creative gelling and listening happening, and just respect and love between all of us. And yeah, I think that album for me is so important in my memories, and they're my best friends. And I think that's just the joy of it, and the joy of having my first ever tune. Like my tune on it is Dissociation Days, which is I wrote about the fact that I found writing music really hard, and I thought, okay, well, I better sit down and try and write something. And then within that, I kind of wrote this piece about the dissociation that I was feeling because I was so overwhelmed by how stressed I got. Because at that time, my imposter syndrome going, you're not a writer, you're not a composer, was just yelling at me, going, don't do this, this sucks. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And now I'm completely dissociated. But in that, I kind of was like, okay, what does dissociation feel like to me at this time? And so that's what that song is about. And it's repetitive and just kind of going on, and then it's kind of falls out into like, oh, I don't know what's just happened. And kind of what that tune represents. Yes, I feel like I've been talking this whole time.
That's the point. That was the point.
That's
but okay, I'm
point.
really excited. I've heard this album, but I want to hear it again. I want everyone else to hear it also because it's really, really exciting. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom.
Thank you, Sophia. It's yeah. Thank you for having me.